right. So thank you guys for joining us once again on Property Love, Property Channel. We discuss all things property, all things real estate within our country and the rest of the continent. And yeah, please remember to hit the subscribe button, share, like, comment. Your comments are very, very valuable to us. And yeah, so today's episode is the second episode of Careers, where we discuss different types of careers within our industry, within the property industry. And in particular today, so we're going to be discussing law within property. So our guest is Ms. Nompumelelo Xulu. So we're in conversation with Ms. Nompumelelo Xulu, and we're going to be chatting about the law within property, and particularly conveyancing. So just the background on Ms. Xulu. So Ms. Xulu is a property lawyer, like I explained, or maybe better known with the term conveyancer. She's also a CEO and a founder of NS Xulu Attorneys, and she's based in Durban, in South Africa. And yeah, so we're going to be exploring and unpacking some of the works that they do as conveyancers. Oh, and most importantly, I also forgot, she was also, we're not going to let her, she was also an award-winning as a young achiever from the Women's Property Network South Africa, which is quite a big thing. So yeah, Ms. Xulu, thank you for joining us, and welcome to Property Love.
Thank you so much, Deco. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Beautiful, great. So Nompumelelo, maybe let's just to kick it off, you know, just to maybe if you can just maybe introduce yourself to the viewers, just who Nompumelelo Xulu is, and you know, how you ended up as a lawyer or as an attorney, and particularly within the property space as a conveyancer.
Sure. Well, I always wanted to be an attorney, and you know, it had nothing to do with saving the world. You know, it was all just about this one time. I think I was in grade 5 or something, and I saw this movie of this lady walking in with her robe in court, and everybody just had to stand up for her to walk in, and I was like, this is so me. And you know, from then onwards, I was just taken by it, and I loved it. Did my research, read cases, you know, and it was just something that I saw myself doing. After a while, of course, when I completed my matric and went to varsity, that all changed, because my focus now was to become rich. Yeah. Because I had heard that all the lawyers are just, you know, your money. Yes. Yeah. And where the money is. Finished my degree, and then I joined one of the biggest law firms in Umhlanga, Rocks, where I did my articles there. I started as a candidate attorney in 2012. And to my surprise, I absolutely hated going to court. I hated litigation. I hated everything about it. It was hot, it was busy, it was tiring, and I decided, okay, I can't quit, so what am I going to do? And then I looked at the different departments, and I saw that they had a property law and conveyancing department. So in my second year, I requested to join that department. And, you know, they took me in with warm arms, with a warm welcome. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was nothing like what I had ever expected it to be. And yeah, and then of course the catch though was that I passed the conveyancing exam, which I was very, very skeptical about. And everybody had told me, no, you're going to fail it. Everybody fails it. There's like, you know, a very, very high failure rate. And I went in to write that exam the first time, and I failed it, of course. I think I got something like a 48% or something. I was like, what? I'm 2% away from it. 50% is no way. Yeah. And then the next year I went again with the exam, and I passed. So yeah, and then after that, I just really enjoyed it. I loved it. I enjoyed it. And then after a while, it just became a case of, you know, me feeling like I'm doing the same thing over and over again. And, you know, I want to grow. I still wanted to be very rich, and I wanted to move to Joburg. And so then Yeah. and then I joined another company. I joined a pharmaceutical company to become a legal advisor there, and I did not enjoy it at all.
So now
And then
this
I decided,
so now this is totally different from so this was not conveyancing work. This was just
yes, and then
some legal work.
I just completely conveyancing side of things to join like a corporate commercial setting. So I was servicing the company, any of their queries or their questions. That's what we used to do in the legal department, and I absolutely hated it. It just wasn't me. And then I decided, you know what, quit, and I did.
Yeah.
And then, now what are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
And I got a job offer from a Fortune 500 company in Joburg, actually.
Okay.
After that, I accept that, because I just felt like it wasn't me. I was also not going to enjoy it. I also wasn't going to love it. I was just on this quest of finding myself, what it is that I truly want to do. Is it being rich? Is being rich really what I want? Is the big title really what I want? What do you want to do? And then that's really how NS Incorporated, the law firm was started. And I said, you know what, I really, really loved conveyancing firm, was just to spread my wings and see what was out there, not because I didn't enjoy it. So but do it your own way. So I decided to start the law firm, and back in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no, brilliant. So,
And the rest is history.
and
Here
then,
we are today.
okay, interesting. So Nompumelelo, so the first time, I mean, for most of us, the first time we ever hear about conveyancing or a conveyancer is when you're slapped with a bill during your first time purchase for a home. When you look at it and you're like, whoa, I got to pay some conveyancing fees. What is that? So, so maybe please tell us what is conveyancing? What do they? What do you guys?
Okay. So a conveyancer is an attorney. So I am an admitted attorney.
Yeah.
And I wrote a specific exam called the conveyancing exam. And what it is really is you become a specialist in the property law field. With my signature and this pen that I have, I get to sign off on documents confirming everything that I have to then forward to the deeds office. So everything that the deeds office has, so before any transfer happens, so from one party to another, those documents have to pass through me, and I have to confirm that everything is correct. I have to confirm that the seller is indeed the seller. They do own the property. That is their identity number. That is their marital status. I have to confirm the different conditions in the title deed are correct and that they're carried through to the following title deed. I have to confirm that all the municipal rates have been paid up and that you're not buying a property and inheriting someone else's debt with the municipality. I have to make sure that all the transfer duty, which is basically the tax that is payable to SARS before a property is transferred, has been paid. That's what I confirm as a conveyancer. So what the exam allows you to do is that once you've written the exam, you get admitted again now as a conveyancer. And what you then do as a
professional conveyancer.
Yes, and then you are then able to execute basically everything prior to, well, the actual execution in the deeds office. Your signature confirms that everything in that title deed, the new title deed, that will be given to the purchaser or that the purchaser will own is correct and valid. And that my file is correct. I've checked all the identity numbers. I've checked everything with regards to the marital statuses, the ownership, any endorsements on that property. You know how sometimes maybe you would get an account, fail to pay that account or whatever, and they then take a judgment against you in court. And then what they'll do is they'll maybe attach your property, or, you know, so I have to check that there aren't any attachments or endorsements on that property, that when you decide that you want to sell a property, none of those endorsements are in place and everything is clear and free for you to take transfer. So basically that's what I do. I specialized in property law. Basically that's what a conveyancer is.
Okay, so if I understood you correctly, so it's basically a process of transferring a property from maybe a seller to a buyer. So if that's what I understood. So
Yes.
with that said, then my follow-up questions would be, then who needs those services? So for example, if my mother gives me a property, or you know, do I need to involve a conveyancer? When does a conveyancer need to come in? And do we always need to involve a conveyancer during a transaction of any property?
Well, you know what? I would always recommend that you do.
Yeah. What are the risks maybe
Involve
that involved if you're not really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'd always recommend that you do. A lot of people do buy their own, you know, deed of sales from stores that, you know, you can go now and purchase one, but there's so many clauses that you then leave out, you know, that would protect you both as the seller and the purchaser.
Okay.
Going forward. So I'd always recommend that you do. I mean, I know with us, we always offer this the agreement of sale for free if we do the transfer for you. And I know a lot of conveyancers do that as well. So before you, if you're considering to buy a property, I just recommend that you go see a conveyancer. Tell them that, you know what, I want to buy this property and I'd like you to please draft a sale agreement for me. Once that sale agreement has been drafted, I'd like you to please just carry on with the transfer. You know, so they'd gladly draft that sale agreement for you, free of charge. You get that sale agreement signed. What would happen is that all the clauses that you need to protect you are there in the agreement, and they've been explained to you, and you fully understand what they mean. And then the transfer process starts. Other people do choose to, you know, draft their own sale agreements. Sometimes it goes smoothly and sometimes it does not. I've seen a lot of agreements where people agree to give each other money before the transfer has gone through. Always a bad idea, you know. And all it would just take is you picking up the phone and calling somebody like myself, a conveyancer like myself, and saying, hi, may I please have ask this question just quickly? What do I do if I want to buy a property? You know, nobody's going to charge you for saying, oh yeah, no, you need to draft a sale agreement, you know. Estate agents as well. Some sellers I would appoint an estate agent, you know, to handle things for them. Estate agents also normally have their own precedents of sale agreements, which normally do cover most clauses, and they'd also be able to explain that to you.
Yeah.
If you do choose to go the estate agent route as opposed to selling the property privately, the estate agent will assist you in signing that sale agreement. And then, of course, very, very important, it is the seller's prerogative to choose the conveyancer. You know, we get a lot of people calling us when they're, you know, mid-transfer process saying, oh, no, I didn't choose this conveyancer. The estate agent chose this conveyancer for me. It's not a good enough excuse. It's your prerogative. Before you buy or sell a property, do your research. Know what your rights are. Know what the process entails. If you don't know, just pick up the phone and ask somebody. It's for free. Nobody's going to charge you for you asking them, hi, I've heard that you're a conveyancer, but I have this question. Could you please just answer this for me? So very, very important. Do your research. Call somebody like myself. who is a professional in this field. Get the assistance that you need before you sign anything, because once you sign a sale agreement, once you sign that contract, you are legally bound by it. And you don't want to be in a position where you're legally bound to a contract that you didn't want to be bound in the first place, because you didn't even understand what it meant. You know, you didn't know that once you signed, you need to come up with a certain deposit. You didn't know that once you've signed, what, like you said, Deco, that you need to pay bond and transfer fees. You knew nothing about that. And if you do go out and get a quick loan, maybe just to cover those fees, it then affects your scoring with the bank where you got the mortgage bond, only to find that you won't qualify for that mortgage bond anymore. So, you know, do your research, ask around, and you will be fine.
Yeah, brilliant. No, that's really good. So I think maybe the challenge is it is quite a scary term or industry. A lot of people don't normally want to get involved in it, and I think maybe that's the reason why people don't normally educate themselves. But like you said, educate yourself. So Nompumelelo, just to move on then onto, since we know what conveyancing is and what it does, so just to move on onto, you touched on earlier that while you're in employment, you had an entrepreneurial bug, which big and you decided to form your own NS Xulu attorneys. What other services within the conveyancing are you guys offering? And where do you guys geographically, do you guys work everywhere? And tell us maybe much more about your law firm.
Sure. Well, the services that we offer are, your general property law questions, your rental questions, your tenant and landlord. We get a lot of questions about that. What we mainly do are property transfers. So what we normally do is we deal a lot with the deeds office. So buyer and seller come to us and they want to transfer a property. That's what we do. What also happens is in that process, mortgage bonds get involved. Not everybody has 2 million rand sitting in their accounts. So if you find that you want to buy a 2 million rand house, and you would be able to afford that repayment a term, you would then go to your bank and request a mortgage bond. We would then also register that mortgage bond for you in the deeds office. So we would then also act as bond attorneys. Now, how that works is that in order for us to be appointed as your bond attorneys, we'd have to be on the attorneys bank panel. And we are very happy to say that we are on some of the bank's panels. One of the big 4 banks in SA, we're on their panel, and we get a lot of mortgage bonds as well as bond cancellations from them. So basically, what always confuses a lot of people is the fact that with the transfer, basically, normally there's always three transactions that are involved. So the first one would be the bond cancellation, where bond cancellation attorneys would be appointed. So how that works is, normally when you're selling a house, you would have gotten a bond when you bought that house. So the bond would still be in place. So you would have to cancel that bond. Okay, then you would sell, then we would then transfer that property. And then the transferring attorneys also get involved, where they would transfer that property from the seller to the purchaser. And then, of course, the purchaser would have gotten finance from the bank in the form of a mortgage bond. That would also be registered in the deeds office. So bond attorneys would then be appointed. So in a normal transaction, there's normally 3 attorneys that are involved. So we as NS Xulu Incorporated do act as all 3 attorneys. We can act as the transferring attorneys, where we've been appointed by the seller or the purchaser. or we can act as the bond attorney, because we are in certain banks panels. And then we can also be appointed as the bond cancellation attorney to cancel that bond, because we are in some of the banks panel, bond cancellation panels as well. So that's basically normally what we do. But we also offer notarial services. So couples that are getting married and they want to sign an antenuptial contract. I'm also a notary public. I've been admitted as a notary public. So we offer those services as well. Draw up your antenuptial contract for you, and we'd register that in the deeds office, as well as also certain other notarial services that you would require. Contact us and we'd be able to assist you. So yeah.
And geographically, where do you guys operate?
Geographic. So our head office is in Umhlanga Ridge, in KwaZulu-Natal. But then we also have an office in Midrand in Johannesburg at the end of this year. So once the lockdown has been lifted, we're hoping to get that plan into action, just broaden that office and make it bigger. So yeah.
Good luck with that. Beautiful. Okay, so now
just to also finish off on that, we do operate in all the deeds offices in the country. So we operate in the deeds offices. So there are 9 deeds offices in the country. So we would operate in all of them. So yeah, if you're in Cape Town, you can call us and we'll be able to assist you with your property transfers. Eastern Cape, Limpopo. So it's not necessarily that we only have access to the deeds offices in KwaZulu-Natal or in the Gauteng province, but all over the country.
Okay, beautiful. All right, thank you for that. That was really quite insightful. So now moving on, Nompumelelo, onto the award that caught everybody's eye. So you are the Young Achiever. You are awarded rather with a Young Achiever Award by the Women's Network of South Africa. Tell us more about that. Did you have to enter, or were you handpicked? And how has it been? You know, what did it do for your career and for your practice?
Sure. I was actually nominated by a very good friend of mine, Charmaine Schwen. I think she had won the previous year as well. And she nominated me. She's also a conveyancer in KwaZulu-Natal. And I really did not think I was going to win. And I did. Yeah. And so first was the KZN Regional Awards that I won, and then I went national, and I also won national. And one thing that it just was a nice pat on the back, Deco, you know, particularly because, you know, the firm was started from nothing. Really nothing. I think I had 30,000 Rand in my bank account, and that was it. I had to ask for money from my boyfriend, ask for money from my mom, ask for money from my sister. I had so many sponsors, you know. And then it was... Are
they shareholders in the business?
Working really, really hard. No.
They're not shareholders.
They're not shareholders in the business. They were just helping me out because they believed in my dream.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, sorry,
no. They just believed in the dream, you know. You know, when you're an entrepreneur, in as much as you believe in yourself, there's certain days where, you know, doors are shut and you're feeling this small, you know, and you feel like, what the hell did I enter into? You know, why did I do this? And you know, but you just keep pushing. You just keep working hard. You know, you're just working on faith. You don't even know sometimes why you're doing what you're doing, because, you know, in as much as you have the end result in your head, you can't see it. It's not here. It's not physical. So winning that award for me was a pat on the back to say, keep on doing what you're doing. you are inspiring other young women like yourself. You're doing more than, just opening a firm. You're employing somebody,
Yeah.
you're feeding a family,
Yeah.
you're feeding. So for me, that's what that meant, that onwards and upwards from there, you can do so much more. Go for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, man,
Great.
just to broaden my perspective. The world is my oyster. So
Okay.
that's what that award meant for me.
Thank you. Well, congratulations on that. I mean, it is a big step. It is a big,
Thank you.
and yeah, we'll ever be railing behind you and supporting you. So, with that being said, Nompumelelo, then all the other young attorneys, particularly conveyancers that are coming up, that are looking up to people of the likes of yourselves. I mean, what advice would you give to them in terms of coming up? Maybe some of the milestones, or some of maybe the challenges that you had to go through that maybe they might need to look out for. So what advice would you give to somebody that wants to get into this industry or wants to become like the likes of yourself?
Of course. It's so funny. 4 years, was it 4 years ago? No, 3 years ago, when I started the firm, I applied to lecture conveyancing also on a part-time basis.
Yeah.
And this year in January,
Okay.
I got a response to say, yes, please come through and lecture conveyancing. This is somebody who felt convincing the first time that she wrote it.
Yeah, you did.
This is somebody who, when I decided to join the conveyancing department, everybody said, "Are you sure you're going to pass that exam? It is so difficult. I failed it 5 times. My friend failed it," So the best advice that I can give them is just don't listen to the naysayers.
Okay. Yeah.
It's so funny that the universe really does conspire to give you what it is that you want. So want it, study. It's a lot of hard work, Teko, and there's no substitute for it. You always hear people say there's no substitute for hard work. It's true. It is so true.
Yeah.
I used to get so bored with that line until I started this journey, because it's so true.
Yeah.
Work hard, study hard, put your mind to it. It's hard, it's hard because you're working and you have to come back. And most of the young attorneys are still serving their articles, which is very difficult. So they're serving their articles, and then they have to come back home and study. Others are quite mature now, so they fall on like they're associates. They're running with their own clients, so it's tough, but you have to come back and study. So just don't listen to the naysayers. You keep on doing, and if you don't succeed the first time, you try again. I mean, when I failed the exam the first time, one of the principals at the law firm I was working at said to me, "So if you fail, what's the worst thing that will happen?" And I said, "I'll fail."
Yeah.
And she said, "Exactly. And then you'll write it again."
Yeah.
That's the worst thing that could happen to you.
Yeah.
You would just rewrite the exam again. So, don't take, a molehill and make it into a mountain. Just keep on doing you. And, look at me now. I'm lecturing conveyancing now.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
I'm lecturing conveyancing. I'm running my own conveyancing law firm. So just believe in yourself. Nothing beats that.
Yeah.
And keep pushing. And I mean, we're here. We're a phone call away, an email away. If you have a question, a WhatsApp away. If you have any question, we're here. We've walked the path that you're walking on. Just say so. And you'll get the assistance that you need. Just don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dreams. If somebody else could do it, you can too.
Thank you. Amazing. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. So then what's next? What's next for Nompumelelo as a person? What's next for LS attorneys? What does the future hold? Besides great things?
Well, Well, you know what? We need to grow the law firm now. It can't just be a small, fall into the small law firm category. It needs to grow. It needs to grow in KZN. It needs to grow in Johannesburg and Pretoria, Cape Town, Eastern Cape. It needs to be all over the country. We need to be accessible to people. We need to be right in your faces and know what conveyancing is about. A lot of people, like you had said, yo, you mentioned conveyancing and they just think it's, something that'll just finish their money. There's a lot of fraud involved in it. We need to be present and get rid of those stereotypes that conveyancers will chow your money and they're fraudsters and the stigma that's been placed on attorneys. We need to get rid of that stigma because you do get, very few spoil it for the majority. It's always the minority. So we are here. We do offer good conveyancing services. Our clients are happy, and we are happy with that as well. We offer professional services. They are available to you. Onwards and upwards. My main aim is to make sure that more, especially Black females, come into the space. There are very, very few Black female conveyancers in this country. Mainly because many are deterred by this exam. Many don't even know where to start. They've never even heard of conveyancing, like you said. They don't know about it. Your typical lawyer at school knows about court, criminal law, fraud, corruption, and litigation, but not about conveyancing because they don't understand what it is. I think that's what we need to do. Educate, empower more women to be in this space. And that's really my dream. So I'm hoping to realize that soon. That's where we're going as Enescolo Incorporated, step by step.
No, we'll get there. That dream will be realized eventually. And so thank you so much, for giving us your time. Really learned a lot. I'm sure the viewers also learned a lot about conveyancing, about the law. It's just as a first step into buying and selling property. So thank you so much, and wish you all the best. And so we shall chat more. Hopefully we'll have you back on the program just to uncover more about the law within the property space and maybe even on the commercial, warehousing and industrial and so forth. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Onwards to property love, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye.